Make sure to subscribe to our channel, join our Discord, and also follow us on Instagram so you always have the support that you need to really enhance your account and get yourself to the next level. If you like the work that we do and you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon. The link is in the description of this video, and I'm extremely grateful for your support. So let's talk about Sickle Jaw. Firstly, let's go to skill number 2, 80% chance to deal 360% plus 50%, so 410% damage to the enemy squad with the lowest power and mark it for 2 rounds. Okay, so choosing an enemy target that's already weakened, like low HP, which is amazing because, well, you have a higher chance of completely eliminating that row and eliminating the special ant that's associated with it as well, and then you get marked, right? And what happens is that the next time the marked target takes skill damage from this particular squad, so Sickle Jaw, the damage is increased by an additional 10%, right? So extra damage, which is amazing. And then the best part is if the skill triggers a critical hit during the first release of each round, it can be released one more time, right? So this skill has the opportunity of hitting twice, right? So it is a pretty high amount of damage, and it has the ability of hitting twice, assuming you get a critical hit. So now you can already see critical hits are important for this one because then you can do this twice, and that is quite interesting. It also means that you have the opportunity of releasing skills more often if you're referring to, let's say, Indigo Velvet, which benefits from the fact that an ant is releasing more often, right? So skill number 5, 75% chance to deal 280% damage to all enemy squads, right? So this is pretty good. Now we're talking all enemy squads, and that's a pretty decent damage. And it doesn't say it requires a round of preparation. So a high chance of doing a high damage every single round. Now it says that if the damage dealt to any squad by the skill is a critical hit, right? So any of the 3 that are targeted, if any of that is a critical hit, it deals an additional 280% damage. But that extra damage is done to 2 squads as opposed to all 3. So that is a very, very high amount of damage, right? 280 to all squads. Plus, because you're hopefully going to have a critical hit, you are going to get an extra 280 to 2 squads. The interesting thing is, if the extra damage that you just dealt was also critical to any of those 2 targets that you targeted, there's another 280% damage to 1 enemy squad. So first, all 3. If you got a crit, you're doing another one, 280% to 2. And if you still got a crit, you're doing it 280% to 1. So one of the squads is potentially getting hit by 280% into 3. That is a ton of damage. And the other 2 are getting hit a pretty decent amount as well, assuming, the attacks line up in that particular way. So this skill number 5 is absolutely insane. And as you can imagine, the trigger for huge amount of damage is critical hits. Okay, skill number 8. During the battle, its squad gains normal attack and crit skill rate of 30%. So that's where that skill critical rate is coming from, the same crit that we need so much to get all of these things going. And you're also getting an extra 40% critical damage. So it's not just the criticals are enabling you to do more damage from the skill itself, but skill crit means that you're doing more damage because it's a critical hit. So it's like double benefit, right? You're doing more damage because of the skill being a critical, but you're also, the skills itself start doing more damage because they trigger more often because of the critical hits. And then it says it gains an additional normal attack and skill crit rate, and of course we're going to focus on skill crit rate because that's what we need, for every 10% power it loses. So as it gets hit more often, it actually gains more and more skill crit rate, and the effect is stackable and lasts until the battle ends. Now, this makes me wonder, healing would probably enable it to get this triggered even more often, right? You lose 10%, 20%, 30%, then you heal, then you use 10% more, and basically because of that, you might just be stacking more crit rate, because I don't think healing should reset it. I can't say for sure though, but I think it wouldn't. So that's how you get that critical rate that is essential to make this ant really powerful. You'll notice one thing that I've mentioned before, it seems to be triggering very, very, very often. And that is something very amazing about Sickle Jaw as well, because it releases so often, it might have synergies that we might see in a bit. Talking about skill number 1, when you ascend it, it gets attack, defense, health, and its squad gains guaranteed hit effect for 3 rounds, and all skill trigger chance goes up by 5%, which is amazing because you do want it to trigger its damage dealing skills. So overall, you could see that this is going to be a legendary ant, right? This is going to be like the giant jaw, but of course for shooters. And this seems to be something that will become a really, really powerful meta that honestly everyone should probably be focusing on. I will quickly mention a little bit of synergy that I see in this ant. And of course, the first one that comes up is a Spotted Hunter. And the primary reason is because Spotted Hunter is skill number 5. During the battle at the start of each round, 75% chance to grant our backline squad skill crit rate plus 80%. That's a lot of skill crit rate. 80% plus the one that you're already getting from Sickle Jaw. You're already above 100% at this point. And that's for 1 round. And while the effect is active, whenever our backline triggers a skill crit rate, the squad with the lowest power is healed with a decent healing ratio. And after each skill crit rate, the skill crit rate bonus is reduced by 10%, right? So basically, it does give a huge amount of skill crit rate, but of course, it's not like an infinite 80%. It does decrease after each skill crit. But that being said, Sickle Jaw has probably done so much damage at that point that, you probably destroyed most of the enemies within the first 2 rounds, so it doesn't really harm that much. The third ant I want to talk about is Indigo Velvet. I still don't have this ant. Can you imagine? Like, we're at season 6 and I still don't have a season 5 ant. Wow. Anyway, the reason why Indigo Velvet is definitely going to be really amazing is because, let's talk about skill number 1. When you ascend it, it is gaining skill damage plus 10%. Skill number 2 is giving an additional 25% damage dealt because it's in the front row, and each time damage dealt, the damage dealt is increased by 5% up to 50%. So now you can get up to 50% extra damage bonus. But this is for Indigo Velvet, right? Not really, because as you can see in 2nd, 4th, and 6th and 8th rounds, 100% of the buff effects are actually going to the backline squad as well, which basically means that you are giving amazing damage buffs to Sickle Jaw, which is already extremely powerful and extremely heavy damage dealer. So now you're talking a ton of damage. But that's not it. Every time when the backline squad deals damage, its squad has a 35% chance of dealing 230% chase damage to 1 random enemy squad. And remember what I was saying earlier? Sickle Jaw seems to be hitting again and again and again, so many times in the same round. So what does that mean for Indigo Velvet? It can keep on adding on to that damage by doing chase damage. So what are we looking at? Indigo Velvet, Spotted Hunter, Sickle Jaw, ready to dominate the battlefield. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Share with your alliance, your friends. It's been a while since I made a long form video for you all, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you to you all. Thank you to our Patreons for all your support, and thank you to everyone for watching, sharing, liking, and subscribing to our channel, and leaving comments below, because all of that actually makes things better for us. And I hope to see you in the next one.